My name is Megan Boning, and this is my special topics presentation for SOC 354, and it is entitled Married versus Unmarried, the Effects on Children. The amount of couples cohabiting in the United States has increased substantially in the past decades, but there are many different types of cohabitation. For some, cohabitation is a stage before marriage, a temporary alternative to marriage, or an alternative to being single, while others never marry and some move in and out of cohabiting relationships. From this, cohabitation lacks a clearly defined and commonly understood position in the United States. This topic is important to study because not only has cohabitation increased, but also the amount of children born to cohabiting parents has also increased. According to Schmier 2011, it is estimated that 40% of children experience cohabitation before the age of 12. Children are raised differently in cohabiting families since marriage is enforced legally and publicly, so it is harder for married couples to split up. Due to the rapid growth, effects on children are not known because past research has only looked at experiences that took place at one point in time rather than collecting data for many years. It is important to note that all of the academic journal articles in this presentation analyze research from the 90s in order to find long-term effects. I argue that cohabitation is detrimental to children's development in the following ways. First, cohabitation decreases parental involvement in children's lives. Second, children of cohabiting parents engage in more risky behaviors. Lastly, cohabitation is bad for children's overall health and well-being. Cohabitation decreases parental involvement. Past research has found that higher levels of parental time investment in children proves higher levels of child rearing. The union type of parents also plays a role in this idea because research has found that married parents spend more time with their children than cohabiting parents. On the other hand, family instability, or in other words, lack of family time or parental involvement, is linked to more stress and poor socialization for children. In Ono and Yielding's 2008 study, they had a sample size of 10,739 married couples and 462 cohabiting couples in America, and compared the time they spent with their kids to 1,540 married couples and 882 cohabiting couples in Sweden. From their research, they found that married fathers spend more time with their children than cohabiting fathers in America, but not in Sweden. This may be a result of more acceptance of cohabitation in Sweden, while the United States views it more negatively. Pew Research Center shows that 44% believe that people living together and not marrying is a bad thing, and 59% believe that unmarried couples having children is a bad thing. The U.S. even has less rights and resources for parents who cohabitate compared to parents who are married. Ultimately, these lack of resources and negative outlooks on cohabitation puts more stress on parents, which is harmful to their kids. Next, children of cohabiting parents engage in more risky behaviors. Bulanda and Manning 2008 found that children from cohabiting families have sex at earlier ages and are more likely to have a teenage birth than children from married families. As I mentioned in the last slide, research has shown that parents who cohabitate spend less time with their kids, so this phenomenon may be caused by less monitoring by the parents. Cohabitation is also a non-traditional family type, which may mean that the parents have more liberal attitudes about sex. As you can see in the chart, Pew Research Center found that 76% of people who ever cohabited believe that premarital sex is sometimes/not at all wrong, while 59% of all adults and 50% of people who have never cohabited believe the same thing. Children's academic performance is also affected when their parents cohabitate rather than marry. In fact, they actually have less of a likelihood of graduating high school. Raley and Wildsmith 2005 also found that maternal cohabitation is especially associated with poor educational outcomes for children, which is most likely due to moral instability in families, since a mother can move in and out of relationships. Lastly, cohabitation is bad for children's health and well-being. Previous research concludes that children of married couples are in better health than children of cohabiting couples. In Schmier's 2011 study of 2,160 children, 41% of the children's parents were married, while the other 59% of children had cohabiting parents. This longitudinal study analyzed the health of all the children until the age of 5 years old. From this research, Schmier found that children of cohabiting parents were less likely to be in excellent health than children of married parents. This can be explained by a few things. For one, couples who cohabitate have less economic and social resources, and they are also less likely to pool their money together than married couples. Since they have less resources, cohabiting parents tend to have lower educational outcomes and lower family earnings. Now that we've discussed the research, we'll look at how cohabitation is viewed in the media. The first article, written by Jason for USA Today in 2013, gave a report on the rapid growth of cohabitation, but failed to report any negative outcomes for children. Instead, she wrote that education is the main determining factor of whether this is a transition to marriage or a short-term union. She also stated that having children is popular in cohabiting unions among everyone except for people who are college educated. The other media article I found was written by Tavernese for New York Times in 2011, in which she partly discussed the negative effects on children, such as performing worse in school, being less psychologically healthy, and experiencing more abuse. However, she also talked a lot about the demographics of cohabitation and stated that there is growing evidence that families that would be very unstable anyway are just skipping marriage. From all of this, is the information that the media puts out to the public correct with the academic research? Well, both the academic journal articles and the media agree that cohabitation is increasing substantially, and it is not seen as a good thing for society. However, when looking at the major thesis of cohabitation being detrimental for children's development, the academic journal articles provide many different reasons to support this thesis, while only one newspaper article states the reasons for why cohabitation is bad for children. Instead, both media articles blame cohabitation on the poor and make it a poverty issue. Why does the media show that cohabitation should be seen as a negative thing, but not for the reason that it is bad for children's development? They may want to make it a poverty issue because cohabitation is not viewed in our society as a positive thing. The media is able to blame it on the poor because the lower class is already seen as unattractive, and this enables them to make cohabitation seem even more unappealing. I hope you have learned from my presentation, and here is a list of my references.